Happy Sabbath. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is Member Spotlight and also Memorial Weekend. And we felt that it was appropriate to absolutely honor all of our vets. And we are very fortunate to have a beautiful couple in our congregation and a wonderful person who serves for our military, Art Morales and Yanet Morales. Welcome. So today I got a few questions I'd love to run with you guys. You guys have always been major contributors to Culver City, and we have been friends for decades. And so it's always great to have conversations together. So Art, I always find it that you have always been a strong person that has always been there for me, and I think that the service has been something that has helped you with that. So I'm wondering what part of that process, as far as when you were serving, that helped you be stronger in serving.
Well, definitely when I was in the Marine Corps, they instilled in us three things: honor, courage, and commitment. To this day, I try to live by those three core values, and I try to raise my kids, and I also try to, devote as much of it the same way to the church, and to God. But definitely, it's being in service changed my whole life, as it changed my family's life and my wife's also.
Wow, and that actually leads me to asking you, Yanet, I mean, how has that made you a stronger person?
Definitely having a great faith system, having a church family there for us, and all the things that we go through prayer always has strengthened us, as well as a community, as a church-based family, as friends. Prayer has always been the forefront of our base of our family.
So a family that prays together?
Prays together.
Amen. So I guess during that, obviously there's tons of situations that both of you have experienced during your journey. And so Art, I mean, what did you see, which you thought was, oh man, this is really bad, that really shaped up to be a blessing for you as far as being in the service?
Definitely when I first joined, my faith was being pushed. And of course, at that young age, I was, not looking at where I was sleeping, so I pushed back. But I was lucky to have God on my side. The more they pushed at me that I couldn't go to church on Sabbath, the more I pushed back, until finally they, they gave in and they allowed me to.
Awesome. And for you, Yanet, I mean, obviously that must have been a ton of little situations that you went through that you probably thought was, man, how is this going to work out? I mean, what about you?
Yeah, it was kind of, when we first met, obviously we were dating. He wasn't in service yet. We were dating when he actually enlisted, and thankfully I had already visited the church. He brought me to church, and I got to know, the church family and the Seventh-day Adventist beliefs. And then when he told me, he's like, you know what, I'm thinking of enlisting. And I was like, okay. And I went with him, to the recruitment center, was with him through the paperwork, just sat there, and they're like, who are you? I'm like, just his girlfriend. And, I just kind of stayed with him. And when he went, he's like, okay, see you in about 3 months, or however boot camp is. And when he got out, graduated from boot camp, went to see him, graduated. And I was still there for him, even through the times when he called. He's like, it's very difficult. There was kind of times of doubting, whether he can continue in the process, especially during the difficult time of the courses that he had to do.
Right.
And I was just there encouraging him. I said, well, you've put yourself there and just trusting God that he will get to see you through this. And so in difficult times, like I said, we've turned to prayer and in God, and in God's time, God's willing to put you through this, just proceed.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Now you touched a little bit that, boyfriend and girlfriend, and he's saying, hey, I'm going in. I mean, tell me a little bit about that, like how you guys met and how that worked out. Oh, this is gonna be fun. You gotta please do share.
We met in college. I was swimming in the swim team, and we met in the athletic training room. She was my boss, and I guess she still continues to be my boss. But it wasn't love at first sight. In fact, it was total opposite. We did not get along, but God put her in my path, and ever since then, we've just been together. And there's days that I even tell her, thank God I'm still with you. I'm blessed actually to have her, even on those harsh, horrible days that we don't get along. But we find out that we're friends first, and then we're lucky to be friends first. Not enemies.
Yeah, working together. When like you said, he was an athlete, and I was a student there. And I did work study and the athletic trainer. That was my field of study, my second field of study in physical therapy I was going into. And he decided, he's like, oh, I can work here as well. So he had a job there as well as a student helper. And my boss was like, well, you need to tell him he needs to go with you and set this up, and he has to help you out. So of course I did what my boss told me. Well, she says you need to go do this. So that was me giving him orders. But yeah, and after that, he had a couple of courses that he needed help with, and he's like, hey, would you mind tutoring me? You've already taken these courses.
Good
And
call,
like,
Art. Good call. Good call.
and I was
Smooth,
like,
just right in.
yeah, I was like, sure. And one thing led to another. He's like, well, can I walk you to class? I'm like, I can carry my own books.
Right. Okay. All right.
And shortly enough, we grew to like each other, and I gave him a chance. I said, okay. And as some of my friends will know, that I did give him a second chance after being stood up on our first date.
Oh, there's patience in this one. Tons of patience. Okay. All right.
And so the rest of it is history. Soon after that, like I said, he had enlisted, and after graduating, came out, and we got engaged. 3 years later. And
Wow.
soon after that, he went back to his military school to learn his occupation in the military, his MOS. And soon after that, we got married. And ever since then, we've had our ups and downs. It hasn't been easy, been a struggle. But like I said, in all things, we always agree to disagree in a lot of things. But we just have God on our side, and when we have those turmoils and difficulties, we always put our burdens towards to God, just hand them over.
And that kind of leads me to my next question, just to kind of hit it, is obviously for those who are in the same situation as both of you, who have a significant other who's out there serving, how it feels, and what kind of foundation that you're trying to build, so you can have that communication and that bond to know that we're not enemies, we're partners, right? And especially in this current COVID-19 environment, where a lot of frontline individuals are out there, from the fire department, police, as well as nurses and doctors, serving those in need, putting themselves first in front of their families. And so what word of advice? I mean, I hear you guys talking about prayer. Prayer is one of the most strongest things you could ever have. But there has to be some more foundation that goes along with that. And so, what would be your advice to those who are in the same situation as you?
Well, definitely as a couple, I think about it first and talk about it with Yanet and I didn't ask her. I basically dragged her along, and it is a selfless life because you're either out there deploy all the time or you're actually training all the time. Accidents happen, friends died, injuries happen, and the divorce rate is really high in the military, 80%. That's for male and female. Doesn't make a difference. Uh, there's a lot that happens when you're in the military that shakes or tests your faith sometimes,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to stand firm and basically say no, or this is what I believe in, or even the same way you want to be treated, you treat other people, especially like I said in the military, it's a different world. It's high speed, very, very, very quick and fast, and if you don't keep up, you can cost somebody a life, or even your own, so yeah, it's very difficult on a marriage, you know, uh, alone just on yourself also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I experienced it when he said he was going to enlist. And that was his choice, as his way of, he wanted to do something. And like I said, I'm not going to hold you back. I don't want to be the person to say, oh, I didn't do this because of you, or you kept me from doing this. I said, no, I totally stood behind him. I knew exactly what, not exactly, but I come to an extent. I said, well, we'll see where it goes. I support you fully, go ahead and follow what your heart tells you, you need to do this for yourself. And I totally, tell anybody that's in a relationship right now that with a military personnel that either you're starting up, but really talk about it, see where you understand that the difficulties you're going to go through, the trials and tribulations that you'll go. And for the servicemen, they go through a lot of trauma, your mental health. You're not the same. I mean, and I noticed they experienced it firsthand when he got out of boot camp, when he was on leave and standing home. I mean, they're soldiers, basically. They're trained to take orders, and in one moment he'd be sleeping and dreaming, or that he's back in drill, or we having a conversation and he would snap, like giving orders. And I had to understand that. I said, put myself in his moment of what he was going through and say, I totally get it. But then I would snap back at him. I said, sorry, I'm not your drill instructor. I'm not going to stand down. I'm speaking to you. We need to speak, not like taking orders. So he kind of like, that would snap him back. He's like, oh yeah, kind of bring him back, ground him back to where we were in a relationship, and it's an equal relationship. And once, get past those moments, like I said, it's not an easy road. But definitely for us, we were fortunate that we have people that pray for us, and our faith system. We've had very difficult times to a point that we were in the brink of, considering divorce. But we just put it back in God's hands and said, Lord, if you really, really want us to be together, we'll listen, we'll obey and follow your commands.
And that, I mean, that is so raw, right? To share that experience of being at that moment where defeat seemed like the right option, right? And I keep hearing the echoing of prayer and leaving it to God and fighting for each other. And there's a partnership here, and putting yourself in the other person's shoes. I mean, that's a tremendous amount for even those who aren't in the military couples, that hey, that the deceiver is always constantly whispering deceitful things to break up the very thing that God loves, which is family.
Exactly.
Right? And so that is just amazing that even in the midst of the storms, you guys continue to lean on God. And
Amen.
so I guess on another note, I always hear a man in a uniform, of course. So I have to ask you that. What's your favorite thing about being married to a Marine?
You have definitely the uniform. He looks great in it. But when they did graduate from MCRD, it's like a field. They all are the same waist size basically. They're just changing stature, glasses, tone color, but they're all fit. So if you look at back his pictures of when he graduated, they're all. I'm like, this is not this is not the person that went in.
Right?
And I asked him about 4 or 5 times amongst the group, but just trying to get him back into a healthy state, and with him going back into service after retiring, being a veteran now, he's gone back into state military, so it's like trying to get him back into his healthy state.
It's my fault. I know, Art.
Donuts.
I know it's the donuts. I'm so sorry, and all the barbecues we do. It's the state can bill me for everything.
But it's always great to see him that he enjoys, like I said, signing up again into the state military to be able to collaborate with his comrades, camaraderie that he enjoys with his fellow soldiers, because it's a variety of them. It's Marines, Navy, Army, they're all included, and they're all his brothers and sisters. And he has a great time when he goes there to be able to service others. And throughout his walk, he can also share his message about God, not directly, but indirectly, of how he lives his life and his family. And the kids love it. I mean, now we're during this difficult times that we haven't been able to go on to base, but the kids love going to the base and doing exercises over there with them. Has been amazing.
Awesome. And Art, what is it about being a Marine that just is awesome to you?
Being able to serve my country, and definitely being able to serve the people, and doing it for my family, my friends, my community, everyone pretty much that we come in contact or is part of your circle. It's hard not to, now for me, and that's why I re-enlisted again. And now with the California State Military, play a different role, but this is the way I see now my community, my state. You guys are all my family. That's what I think of all the time.
And I definitely see every service member, they try to take to heart, laying down their life for anyone, to defend their country, to defend them, the people that they love the most. It's a selfless, that they would rather protect their country than think of their own life, even though they know they have a family behind, but if they're able to save more lives, sacrifice theirs, it's the ultimate gift.
I always love Art when you quote Kennedy. What's the famous quote that you love to say?
That's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That was JFK's inauguration, and when he became 35th president of the United States. That's his speech. But my favorite one though is going to be actually, I think I have it here. It's John Oops, I lost it right now. John 15:13. No greater love has no one than this, than to lay down his life for a friend. And that was Jesus telling us, when he was crucified, on Calvary. So a lot of us in the military, we do live by those ethos or that belief, and it's rooted down just like our religion, our belief of God, and for our country.
I think that's very powerful, Art. I think that here in Culver City, we've been very blessed by that influence. That very influence is evident in both you and Yanet. For many of you guys that have not had the pleasure of meeting these two beautiful people and their wonderful kids who share the same essence of service. They're the first one in and the last one out. I have to tell you that there are many nights that we have been together. It reminds me of the one time where we did a beach night, and we were out there early afternoon setting up the pits and everything. And I remember everyone coming in and we were lugging wood across and getting everything set up for everyone. And everyone just coming in, just like, oh, this looks so much fun. And not leaving until midnight, until we loaded everything. Everyone went home. It was just us, And there's so many of those good memories.
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, closing out the night, being together. And Culver City is so indebted and so thankful for you, Art, for serving our country and serving here at this church. We honor you, but we also honor you, Yanet. A lot of people don't understand how important it is for our military, our frontliners, to have an anchor at home. Someone who is there, that is constantly empathetic and always there to be a stronghold. And I commend you for your patience. Some of us are just so blessed to have such, awesome people in our lives like you. And so thank you so much for being that anchor. And thank you two for joining me on Member Spotlight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Definitely thank church. Thanks to church for our support to all our veterans and our active members and reservists, and also for all the nurses, all the paramedics, firefighters, police officers out there, everyone out there that are just working right now really hard to get through this. You yourself included, David. You work really hard, every Friday, every Saturday, every day to make sure that this gets through to everybody. Your family, your wife, all of you guys. And there's no difference. It's just I wear a uniform. That's the only difference.
I am so blessed. I know you feel I guess it's always funny when we go out and do Compassion Sabbath. I think we feel more blessed than it is for those that we give. And so I think we're very, very fortunate to carry that. Thank you, you two, for joining me today. Thank you guys for joining us today on Member Spotlight. For you guys who are members, just be looking out. We'll be coming for you too, so you can join on sharing your journey as well. God bless, and see you next time.
Happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath.